Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the July Executive. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Any absence to report?
Thank you, Chair. So Councillor Leanne McIntyre has sent her apologies.
Thank you. The minutes of the previous meeting, which was 17th of June. Are we happy with the minutes, people?
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest. I was frantically trying to think whether I had any. I didn't come up with any. Anybody else got any declarations of interest?
No.
No? Okay. So we're speeding forward. So we're on public question time. I'm not aware of any questions. Right, super. Number 5, questions from members. Any questions from members? Going once. Going twice. Gone. Okay, very good. End of year performance. Who's introducing it? Oh, this is my report, isn't it? Who's introducing? This is me, isn't it? Does anybody want to say anything from the officer side on this one? I mean, I know it's been through P&F already, but would you like to? Or, yeah, please do so then. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Save my bacon, thank you. Just giving.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the end-of-year performance report, reviewing the performance of the Council as set in the annual plan for the year 2024-25. As you suggested, it went to Performance and Finance Scrutiny last week, and the comments and feedback from that committee have been included as a supplementary. We would welcome any questions at all from the committee, just reminding the committee that the annual plan does drive the objectives for the appraisals of all the officers across the council. We believe the end-of-year performance is a bit of a good news story. We have been successful in, you can see in the report that we've really done pretty well with our objectives this year, but we'll welcome any questions or observations, feedback from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from any of the executive or any members that joined us? No? I think Ms. Kipping summarised it very well. I think it's a very strong performance overall. Obviously not everything perfect, but that's life. But a very strong performance and improvement year on year as well, I think, in general. So thank you to all involved and to Ms. Bainbridge that's here for putting it all together. What were the key things that Performance and Scrutiny Committee did identify that we should reflect on? Does anybody... I did listen into that meeting, but there was nothing particularly struck me. Was there anything from the officer side that struck you in terms of we had to focus on going forward? While you're thinking about that, I think there's something around the waste indicators that continue to be, I think, a topic of discussion in terms of the, not just with us, but with other... do you want to comment on that? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The question initially was around why there is a lag in the data coming forward for the key performance indicators for our waste and recycling stats. Essentially, that's because it needs to be validated by data. It goes into a system called Waste Data Flow. But then there was a question in relation to how we can up our performance. And invariably, that's a challenge for us now. The Environment Partnership isn't within the control of the districts and boroughs. It's no longer hosted by Joint Waste Solutions. It's reverted back to being a county council function. We're yet to see the plan for the Environment Partnership for this current financial year or future years. And that is really what we're reliant on to try and drive up our performance around recycling and around waste reduction.
Thank you. Councillor Rice, please.
Sorry, I'll never pass up an opportunity to talk about waste. So just following on from Mrs. Stevens, just to confirm that with waste data, that also has to go through to the Department Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. So it's a longer process, even though we do know the information. But also, I just do want to highlight the actual continuing good performance of the waste collection service that we have in Surrey Heath. I believe, my understanding is that it's the best in Surrey. and one of the best in England as well. So we're continuing to show very good performance.
Thank you, Councillor Rise. Yeah, and I think the other one that we've discussed in other forums, welcome, Councillor Rise, I think you're on the end there. Keep going all the way to the end, Murray. For some reason. The other one I think we discussed in other forums is around the whole appeals for planning is an area of wider concern, and it was very much appreciated the extra information that was added there to give some additional context. So we're running more or less about 50%, but there's some areas that we're oh, you're going to add in, but it was interesting to see that only 3 of those were related to committee overturns. Please, Councillor Ashbury.
Yeah, thank you. Just to clarify, as was discussed at P&F, the measure of appeals has changed, the way we are measured by government. So before it was number of appeals versus number of appeals overturned, nothing related to the actual number of applications submitted and processed. So if you had 100 applications in a quarter, one went to appeal and was overturned, you had a 100% failure rate, whereas under the new measure, that is a 1% failure rate because the denominator is not the number that go to appeal, but the number determined during that period. Government guidelines on that are below 10% is the measure for planning authorities. We are currently running at less than 2 on that measure. So whilst the way we used to measure looked a challenge and an issue for us in terms of the way it is now measured across the country, we are in pretty reasonable shape.
Good. Well, if there's no other comments, we'll... oh, Councillor Rice, please.
It's just noted with news today with regards to the leak from the MOD, and it's regards to I just wanted to, if you could just point to me where, because we've had good success with the Afghanistan resettlement programme recently. I was wondering if the portfolio holder might be able to provide an update on the continued good service of that programme. I wonder just to provide some reassurance, if you can.
So could I just clarify your question? Your question is for an update on the resettlement programme?
Yes, not on the leak, but on the on the programme that we have managed, which has gone very well over the last few years.
Yeah, or programmes even, I think it is.
Thank you, Councillor Rise. Yes, the scheme has been delivered absolutely excellently by our officers, and I think we need to acknowledge that and thank them very much for their work, but also need to let you know that that scheme has now come to an end. It's been discontinued by the Home Office. The reasons for that aren't 100% clear, but in terms of our work in Surrey Heath, it's been delivered to most excellent standard.
Yeah, thank you. And it's probably worth, again, thanking the officers involved in that programme for their work. And, you know, we now know that some of the demands were coming for unfortunate reasons in terms of the breach of security, data security. But obviously the actions that were taken helped make sure that people were kept safe, and those were people that supported our armed forces in Afghanistan. So, yeah, very much thanks to the officers involved, which I think is probably Ms. Burrell's team from memory. Yeah, if you could pass that on, that would be... Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? No. Very good. So, again, thank you to everyone involved in that. Always room for improvement, but a very, very strong performance. And I think that's what the press release might have said, or maybe it's going to say it. I get lost when they go out, to be honest, sometimes. Okay, very good. So are we agreed with the recommendation on that one, which I suspect is to note? He says, it is to note, is it? Good, very good. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to agreed. Okay, we'll move on to the next one then. The outturn report 2024-25, as was noted at the beginning, Councillor McIntyre is unfortunately not able to be with us.
Do you want me to say anything about it?
Well, you can if you wish. I was going to...
We'll go straight to Vicky.
Mrs. Radford did a great job at doing
Yeah,
it last
perfect.
night. So, or was it last night? SR, I get lost in the week. Yeah, did a great job. Thank you very much. Did a great job last night. So, Ms. Radford, do you want to give us your non-techie introduction to this topic?
Yeah, I can do. So this is the outturn report for 2024-25. We have obviously since published the statement of accounts, the unaudited statement of accounts on the council's website, and for any eagle-eyed people out there, the figures do align. Normally, this report is done before we produce that, so that makes life a lot easier. It's more consistent. So this Performance and Finance Scrutiny last week had this report. Last night we had Audit Standards and Risk that had the same section on capital programme as what's in this report, and more detail on the Treasury management. So this is kind of almost the third outing. So in terms of the revenue account, the council net cost of services came in under budget, and in a more favourable position in Q3. Obviously, all that detail is in the report, which therefore means that the use of reserves to fund that in year is lower, which then does help the future year in the MTFS position. The capital programme also came in under budget and lower than Q3, and a lot of that between the revenue and the capital programme is linked to the work we've been doing on transformation. We've been reviewing what capital schemes can be done, should be done, and when. So the report identifies a number of schemes that have been finished, and those items can be released from the programme, and items that are going to be reprofiled. The money hasn't been spent just yet. So they're all in the report. And for Treasury management, we have favourably outturned on the investment income budget. So that's obviously helped the position as well. And we've been reporting a better position in year, and the borrowing interest as well, that has come in around about what we were anticipating as well during the years of reporting. So there's key questions. So I'll open the floor to any questions or comments.
Thank you. Any questions for anyone? Okay, I have a couple, sorry. Mr. Radford. 1.12 talks about the material differences. I was aware we had a reasonably heavy burn rate on JWS. I was just a bit surprised that our overspend doubled in a quarter. I was just wondering if somebody could give me some insights into that, because that seems like quite a change in quite a short period of time.
It is, yes. I'm not sure how much we can say because of the ongoing legal position, but that is on legal fees that we've been incurring. So I'll hand over to Mr. Stevens if there's anything more that he wants to say on that.
Thank you, Chair. I think Mrs. Radford's put it very succinctly. We are clearly in dispute at the moment. That is a matter of public record. We've reported that in various documents in this chamber. The costs of that are sizable, but ultimately we do still feel that we have quite a strong case, albeit the legal fees are ramping up, and we need to consider carefully what the next steps are in terms of that litigation. It is unfortunate that the bills are of such a scale, but the nature of the claims against us are also sizable. So there is a balance there. We are closely monitoring expenditure through our monitoring officer, who is heavily engaged in the process. We have multiple meetings on a weekly basis to talk about the claim and our progression with that. And there is also discussion amongst the chief executives from the joint contracts authorities about the next step. And we're engaging actively with Amy to open meaningful dialogue.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just confirm that the figure on that point, is that the figure for JWS across the 4 authorities, or is that the figure for Surrey Heath?
That relates to Surrey Heath.
So I guess the context to my point, and thank you for reminding us that we can't go into too much detail, is looking ahead. I think it's probably important that we take quite a prudent position there in terms of our forecasting of that, because that was quite a big swing in one quarter. That was the context of my question, not per se the detail. And the reason being that as we currently look, we might believe that we have a little bit of a buffer, but if we're underestimating some of the risks to the overall position going forward, then we're fooling ourselves, and we might end up making the wrong decisions. And we're also cognizant of the fact there's probably a big bill coming from local government reorganisation our way. We've yet to play rock, paper, scissors with the other 11 groups to see who gets what share of that, or know what the number is. So that was my only point, Mrs. Radford. If and I'm sure the team had spotted it as being quite a big variance as well. We don't want to get caught out by under planning, I guess was my under budgeting. The other one was, if I was being, and I was a little bit earlier today, if I was being a bit brutal, should I be sending a bill for 209,000 for the wind up of the family support service to Surrey County Council?
I think that one falls to me as well, doesn't it, Chair?
Well, unless Mrs. Radford wants to pick it up for you. Yeah.
This relates to the staffing costs associated with winding down the family support programme. You'll appreciate there was ongoing dialogue between ourselves and county about who should burden or incur those costs. The county position was that they were not liable. Clearly we had an opposing view. It was a service that was provided on behalf of county, that was funded by county and facilitated by us. And it's unfortunate that we didn't come to a more amicable solution.
I'll take that as a maybe because it suits me. Thank you. Okay, I'm conscious that this has been around a couple of times, and obviously the executive reviewed it in the briefing, so I won't dwell on it too much. But one of the things that struck me, Mrs. Radford, was there's still quite a lot of swinging around in this report. There's still quite a lot of movement, and I was trying to reconcile in my head, and it took me a few rounds, to be honest, the time frame of how this unfolded, because I think this is the last budget that was done prior to the full implementation of the finance, I can't remember what we called it, was it finance transformation? It was, wasn't it? The stabilisation programme, which I think was a paper we signed off in November 2023. I can't remember when yourself joined. Was that April or February?
February 24.
February 24. So at the time that this budget was done, the implementation of the November paper in reality hadn't happened, because there's quite a time lag in terms of recruitment and everything else. And obviously you've been working through all the processes and various assumptions, including straight lining the rental and things. So I guess just for the public record, I think my observation was that this budget was set up in a fairly at a time when we knew that the finance team were not in the place they needed to be. We made the decision as an executive to invest in the finance team. That investment is bearing fruit, I think, day by day in terms of the insights that we're getting. And I think as we go forward, we should see, I hope to see, and I'd be very interested in your comment as well, Mr. Radford, that we hope to see that some of those, the magnitude of the variances should reduce, because it's more within our own control, apart from things like interest rates and stuff, which we can't control. What's your observation there?
Yeah, absolutely. We would hope to see that as part of the 2025-26 budget round. We pretty much did a base budget on all services and really got behind the numbers. So hopefully they are a lot more accurate than they would otherwise have been. And we've been working a lot more with services. So there's a really good relationship now with the business partners and with the services. So there should be a lot more information flow between the two teams to pick any issues up, again, that are outside our control early, and better forecasting on what's going on. So in theory, budget movements should be around things that are happening within the service, as opposed to budgets that necessarily aren't in the right place or are incorrect.
Very good. Again, thank you to you and the team for your work in cleaning all of that up. It's much appreciated. So I haven't got anything else. I don't know whether sorry, I did hog that a bit, but I was Johnny come lately on this one. Any other questions from members of the executive? Right. I suspect. Let me just jump up to the top and see what it says. That's probably the wrong one, so that's not going to help. It's wordy, but are we happy with the recommendation as documented in the paper? Agreed. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you, Mrs. Radford, for that. So we jump on to cleaning and security services contract. I think there's an exempt part to this from memory, but most of it isn't. That's right? Have I read that right? Sorry? Yeah, exactly. But I think there's a good chance we can probably keep out of exempt if we try hard. Is this one for you to introduce?
The current 3-year contract for cleaning and security services at the Square Shopping Centre is due to expire in September 2025. Is that better? Yeah. Despite an option to extend the current contract for a further 2 years, in order to ensure market testing and continue to drive efficiency and value for money for the centre's tenants and residents alike, it's recommended that a tender exercise takes place. Although Surrey Heath Borough Council is the contracting party, the annual service cost for the cleaning and security services forms part of the shopping centre's service charge budget. The majority of the cost, therefore, is recoverable from retailers as part of the centre's service charge mechanism, Surrey Heath being responsible for the element of the service charge cost for vacant units when they arise. The Square is an important service facility in Camberley and contributes to the council's revenues. Regular service contract tendering ensures that the services that the Square delivers efficiently and that the price, quality, innovation and environmental factors are continuously reviewed. While service costs relating to the Square are not mentioned specifically in the Council's 5-year strategy, procurement of this service ensures that the Council's commitment to delivering effective services with sustainable finances. And I would ask you to accept the recommendation put forward in the paper.
Thank you. Any questions for anybody? It's going to be a theme this evening. I note, and apologies if this was in the pre-briefing, I missed it, I didn't get a chance to ask questions, but I noticed that we're saying that this contract is 3 years old and we need to retender, get that, test the market. But then we're planning a 5-year contract. So could somebody just take me through why we're jumping from 3 to 5? And is it a 3, 1 plus 1, in which case that's an easier thing to understand. I think Mr. Bold's ready to go.
Correct, Councillor MacDonald. Yeah, it would be a 3-year contract with a 1 plus 1 for extensions, but we would be annually reviewing anyway with annual service reviews at each sort of 12-month anniversary. But it would be, yeah, a 3-year contract.
Very good, thank you. And then the only other one I had, I'll just slip this one in and then Councillor Rice defer to you, is I noticed the cleaning contract KPIs had certain weightings. So I guess in theory that ends up with overall score or something, but I wasn't sure what we were doing with that score. That was a bit unclear to me from the paper, sorry.
No, that's fair to point that out. What we would usually do is in the immobilisation period, we would tighten KPIs. So that is an example of how we would structure it. And then, yeah, there would be a scoring process, but that would be sort of tightly worked out within the first 6 months. That was a sort of example of the sort of KPIs we would use in the contract and what we'd base the current one around.
Very good, and that then could have an implication on payments or penalties, or is or is it just there just to track performance overall?
It is there to track performance. There is an agreed sort of payment schedule, as you would expect in the contract, but there would be, I don't think it's necessarily financial penalties, but it would be a sort of continual review across the 12 months, and a sort of tick box or exercise as we go through. But discussions would then be had around those sort of KPIs if they weren't met. So it would just give the opportunity to have those conversations at the appropriate times. We are obviously about to undertake the tender exercise, so we can ensure that is all looked at and set out within those tender documents.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wright, you had your hand up.
Thank you. I have two questions. Under 1.4, it says that the current contractor typically employs 22 people at the centre, but then it's expected that a sizable number of the team will have a right to 2p over. Are we expecting a specification of the tender to have a lower requirement, or is that just a statement of what might happen? I was wondering that. And also, just in terms of the KPIs, in terms of monitoring them, is that done through a contract manager in Surrey Heath Borough Council, or is that through Praxis? I'm just wondering who manages monitoring the KPIs.
Sure. So with the latter question on the KPIs, in terms of the contract management, correct, that would be our employed managing agents who would undertake that for us. They report to us monthly and would flag any conversations that are taking place or any contract management issues should the council need to intervene. But through our contract with our managing agents, that would be for them to manage. And apologies, you mentioned point 1.4. I think you're referring to the number of staff affected by 2p. My understanding it is around that figure of 22 at the moment. That mainly would consist of the soft services managers, cleaning operatives. That is the total number of staff initially. I think 2p pretty much affects everybody on that contract.
Just on that point, please, Ms. Theobald, it's just, are we expecting, in your professional experience, that the tenders that come in might be lower than that number, or is that kind of what we were, in terms of how we would then judge what is submitted? Would we be looking for a service delivery of around 22 members of staff, or I'm just kind of wondering how we're going to judge that side of the bids?
Sure. So when the bids are submitted, they tend to submit a schedule of working hours. So it's based around sort of hours that are needed to service the contract, is my understanding, rather than staffing. But I think the last contract and this one, that's been the sort of levels of staffing. It's been very similar. We have a pledge to try and make some savings under the service charge budget as part of the transformation programme. But it will be a case at the moment of, I think, of waiting to see when the tenders come in and evaluating each in line with the procurement exercise and the scoring of that pricing and quality that comes through.
Thank you, Chair. If I can just clarify 2 points on that. In terms of 2p, if there are 22 people that are identified as working on the current contract, they would be eligible to transfer across. Invariably, there are people that choose not to, so I think that's why there is an element of vagueness within that paragraph. If there is a change of resourcing within the contract, either up or down, clearly that's for the new contractor to determine. 2p would still apply irrespective.
If I could just make a final question on that. I guess my question really is, will our specifications set out a number of staff that is required, or do we set out the level of the service that is delivered, and then the contractor has to demonstrate how they're meeting? they could employ a bunch of robots to do it and go around cleaning if they really wanted to, as long as, I doubt it, but I'm just wondering, are we prescriptive in terms of numbers of staff that is required, or are we prescriptive on the specification of the service?
If I may, I'm not wanting to put words into Ms Theobald's mouth, it's the latter. The specification requires what should be, how it should be delivered really is up to the contractor. And they'll obviously set that out within their method statements as part of the evaluation.
And I did actually see some robots recently going around a shopping centre cleaning it. Yeah, so just a couple from additional ones from my side, and thanks for those, Councillor Rice. The timing, I read in the summary, I was scratching around there to work out where I'd read it. So I read about the extension and the idea being that we would look to go forward with the new player at the end of January. But I think you would be planning to announce it in October. I was just a little bit concerned about an erosion of service in the critical Christmas period, which is in fact effectively what you're trying to mitigate by what you're doing here. So just like to understand why you've come up with that timing, because I thought it was just a little bit close to Christmas and disgruntled employees or a lot of uncertainty. You know, as you know, the Christmas period is extremely important to the town centre.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The procurement exercise is proposed to run from sort of mid-August, usually sort of 6-week programme by the time the evaluations have happened. I think at this stage, that announcement period may be up for changing. It depends on the tenders that we get back and how long the process runs for. But I think it's a fair point, and we would ensure that the managing agents are briefed and that any staffing issues or uncertainty is addressed. They would have already been notified if about the 2P process, so that should cover a lot of that uncertainty. But yeah, I think as we go through the procurement, there'll be more clarity on all of that.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, because I'm sorry, Councillor Feenan-Kirk, I'm never across all of this, but I'm guessing we're picking up 40% of this, are we, on the non-recoverable? Is that what the number comes out as?
Correct. Yeah.
And is that related to vacancies, or is it more related to the structural issues with the service charge? It's a while since we had a conversation on that.
Yeah, it is our proportion that we pick up of non-recoverables for vacancies and the non-recoverable elements that aren't covered by the tenants.
But we don't have 40% gap, so it's a bit of a mix of both, isn't it? We can't fully recover it because we perceive it to be quite high already.
Correct. Yeah, and for example, there's different schedules in the service charge, and one of those areas would be the toilet block, for example, where we would have a contribution to that for the cleaning and security, and the overall services. So it's not just purely linked to vacancies.
Okay, thank you. I'm done and dusted. Anybody else? Anything? No, you've had a round of this already. You've cleaned up your act already. I'm sorry. We're trying to, that was just in real time. It was terrible. Okay, so we move on to the recommendation. Are we happy with the recommendation as it stands? Agreed? Thank you. Thank you, Ms Theobald. So we move on to what could be another thriller, the finance system contract. Bit of a niche area, this one. Again, apologies, Councillor McIntyre's not here. I don't know, the paper sort of speaks for itself. I'm not sure, I'm sure Mrs Radford's fully available to answer any questions, but I don't know if you want to do you want to do a pitch, Mrs Radford?
Yeah, just an overall summary that the finance system obviously integral to the running of the council. The contract ends in August this year. We've proposing a direct award. We've done some negotiations in terms of the best way to do the contract, and 5 years is the best term. We could have done 3 + 1 + 1, but moving into local government reorganisation, it's important that we have a fully functioning, stable finance system to allow the new authority to be able to decide what system they want to use without having to go through a new contract or anything at that point. So we felt the 5 years was appropriate. We obviously there's some information in the confidential part that impacts the budget, but the old contract was 10 years old, so ultimately it's going to cost us more than what we've got in our budget at the moment, and that's expected given the contract life that was there before.
Thank you. Any questions from it? Councillor Rice.
Thank you. Just with regards to the point of the 5 years going into the potential new unity authority, this system is the most used by local government, is my understanding. And is it likely, in your professional opinion, Mrs Radford, that the new authority will be using Civica as its system? I'm just wondering, is Civica the market leader, and it won't make much difference compared to the new system that they're going to be using eventually?
There's actually quite a few systems that are used around Surrey, to be fair, actually, and Civica is one of the least. There's only 2 authorities in Surrey that use it, but obviously I can't say what's going to happen with the new authority and how they're going to procure their system.
So could we just talk about that, the 5-year thing, just a little bit more? So our contract comes to the end August this year. If all goes to plan, we'd be about 18 months into a new contract when LGR hits. I think we all know it takes quite a long time for everybody to work out which way's up following a major transformation programme. So let's call that another 18 months. So that gets us to the 3-year mark. I guess where I'm coming from, I'm just a little bit concerned we're reducing the options we're going for 5, we're reducing the options for the new authority to standardise and realise any synergies. So is this something, I know this is a decision for us and everything else, but I know you're also part of a peer group, Mrs Radford as well. Is this something that is being consistently done when these issues are popping up at the moment? Because I'm just a little bit concerned it's like a poison pill for the new authority by locking out any opportunities for benefits.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and it's something that we did consider when we were talking about the 5 years. There is, just I suppose for context, there is a local authority in Surrey that has just implemented or implementing a brand new system, finance system. I don't know how long their contract is for. Even if within 3 years, which actually, when you implement a new finance system, you want to give yourself at least 2 years to be able to set it up, test it, and you're going to want to have, ideally, parallel running with the old system as well. And then following on from that, we need to work out how we can extract all the data and what data is going to be needed. And we felt that even if a new system could be procured and implemented, which actually, personally, I think is going to be quite tight if there's 2 years left of this contract, and we're in that position. It's about data recovery as well, making sure we've got that data available. So by having the system licensed for that period of time, we're covering ourselves to be able to extract whatever information we need to implement a new system, if indeed there is a new system. It's quite a complex thing when you're merging that many councils anyway, let alone a big finance system.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of the nightmare that is master data management, particularly on the finance side. I think I've just dodged 2 go lives on SAP, so but I was involved in the previous 3 years before each one. Okay, so understood. So you think the prudent thing to do is give any new authority plenty of time to work out what it wants to do, go to market, and then manage that process of transformation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I sense that you've been through one of these before? Change of system?
Yes.
Okay. Did you enjoy it?
Well, it depends what your definition of fun is.
Well, as long
It's
as
very, very difficult. It's like changing bank accounts. You know, it's very, very difficult. It's so complex.
yeah, you don't want to do it too often. You want the cash keep rolling in. Okay, so anybody else? No. Okay, so I think the recommendation is as it stands. Are we happy to agree with the recommendation? Agreed. Okay, good. So I think we are done and dusted for the evening, unless I've missed anything that the Chief Executive will sort me out on. No, good. So go home and enjoy time off for good behaviour, everybody. Okay.